Uh, Allow me now to welcome warmly His Excellency Mr. Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General of the United Nations, and his deputy, and I wish him a speedy recovery because his voice is also victim of Gaza crisis. The General Secretary will say a few words, and then his deputy will read his speech. You have the floor, Mr. General Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President of the General Assembly, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. First of all, let me extend my sincere congratulations on your assumption of important responsibilities as chair of the Group 77 and China. You can count on on me and my secretariat full cooperation in the future. Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, with due respect, I hope you will understand that you will forgive me for me to ask my Deputy Secretary General to read my statement. I'm still recovering from my lost voice, but I hope I'll be okay next time when I meet you. Thank you very much for your understanding. Thank you.
Secretary General.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have always had the privilege to speak on behalf of the Secretary General on many occasions, but it is not often that the Secretary General borrows my voice to address such a distinguished gathering. It is a role that I take with delight while he's watching over me, but still wishing him a speedy recovery. Your Excellency, Dr. Altigani Salih Fidail, Minister of International Cooperation of the Republic of the Sudan and Chair of the Group of 77 in China, Your Excellency Mr. Miguel Descoto Brockman, President of the General Assembly, Your Excellency Dr. John Ash, the Permanent Representative of Antigua and Barbuda, outgoing Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome this opportunity to be with you today for the handover of the chairmanship of the Group of 77 in China. Let me begin by congratulating and thanking Antigua and Barbuda. You have steadfastly guided the group through a challenging year of multiple crises, from food security to energy to global finance. Ambassador Ash has earned profound respect for his exemplary service to the group. It has been a pleasure to work with him. Today, Sudan takes on the mantle of leadership. To the chairman, I offer my compliments and best wishes for the year ahead. Your leadership of the group comes at a critical time. The crisis that erupted last year highlighted the interdependence of economies and countries. They also showed that the United Nations and its multilateral framework are indispensable. As we move into 2009, these global challenges remain. They threaten to undo the progress made towards the development goals in the last decade. The international community must pull together and work harder than ever. I will be counting on the Group of 77 in China to play a strong and constructive role, and I'm keen to work closely with you. Let me mention 4 key challenges we must confront together: the global financial crisis, climate change, achieving the Millennium Development Goals, and global health. We are in the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Most developed economies have entered recession. The strong growth rates enjoyed by developing countries from 2002 to 2007 will soon be distant memories. Prospects for the least developed countries are particularly worrying. Governments have taken unprecedented action to mitigate the crisis, at home and internationally. But much more is needed to reverse the downward spiral. The fiscal stimulus packages under consideration in many large economies must be suitably sized and well coordinated internationally to be effective. The broken international financial system must also be fixed to avoid a recurrence of today's problems. The December 2008 Doha Declaration on Financing for Development stressed the need for such reforms. The world economy is highly interdependent. Designing an inclusive and equitable international financial architecture will require extensive dialogue and coordinated action. This is not just an issue for the G8 or even the G20, but for all nations. The United Nations will continue to support efforts to correct the global financial system and safeguard development gains, especially for the poorest and most vulnerable. We are already making preparations for the United Nations Conference on the impact of the global economic crisis on development mandated by the Doha Declaration. I urge your governments to participate at the highest possible level. The Doha Declaration also called on member states to maintain aid commitments despite global economic uncertainty. I am heartened that world leaders recommitted to fulfilling their obligations under the Global Partnership for Development. Now it is time to deliver. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also time to intensify our efforts to address climate change, which remains a threat to all. The outcome of the recent meeting in Poznan was encouraging. We must build on it to make this year the year of climate change. We have less than 12 months to reach a meaningful outcome at Copenhagen. I urge your continued engagement. We cannot stray from the Bali roadmap. We must also continue our efforts to reach the MDGs by 2015. Last September's high-level events on the MDGs and on Africa's development needs generated new energy, reinforced commitments, and launched new partnerships. They showcased progress made and underscored the great potential of South-South cooperation. Strong follow-through is needed to keep the momentum. The Economic and Social Council will review progress towards the goals and facilitate multi-stakeholder dialogue on development cooperation. Your continued engagement in the Council and in its functional commissions is critical. Ladies and gentlemen, slow progress toward the development goals related to health remains a major concern. In many areas of the world, health systems are stretched to the limit or broken. In many countries, prospects for meeting the most basic goals related to maternal health, child mortality, HIV and AIDS, malaria and other diseases are low. As populations age and non-communicable ailments such as diabetes and heart disease become more prevalent, ensuring health care for all will grow more and more challenging. Recognizing this crisis in waiting, ECOSOC is focusing on global public health in 2009, culminating in the annual ministerial review in July. The President of the General Assembly and I have also made health a priority and will undertake activities over the course of this year. Ladies and gentlemen, as you well know, the United Nations Development Agenda is vast, with current crisis coming on top of already expanded responsibilities on the part of this organization. I would like to express my appreciation for the group's strong support for my efforts to strengthen the development pillar of the United Nations Secretariat. I promise to continue to work to increase coherence and cooperation within the Secretariat and across the United Nations system. I mean this not only in the development arena, but across all three pillars of our work: peace and security, development, and human rights. These fundamentals of the United Nations Charter are interdependent. We cannot talk of development in isolation. When peace and security are absent, or when human rights are threatened, development cannot happen. In this connection, I'm thinking of people around the world, especially Africa, who so desperately need peace for development. I sincerely hope that Sudan's leadership of the Group of 77 in China will accelerate efforts to find an acceptable resolution of these conflicts. At this time, my heart also goes out to the innocent civilians of Gaza who have endured so much suffering. I am relieved that the fighting has ended with declarations of unilateral ceasefires and the withdrawal of Israeli troops. but much more remains to be done. Politically, arrangements need to be put in place for a durable and sustainable ceasefire, which entails addressing the illicit trafficking of arms and enabling the sustained opening of all Gaza crossings. On the humanitarian front, the needs are great, as I saw for myself. An urgent humanitarian needs assessment mission is in the region. We will continue to work to provide much-needed humanitarian relief and assistance, and then begin the early recovery and reconstruction process in concert with regional and international partners. Finally, this conflict made clear that we must address the political failure to bring about lasting peace and stability. I am more determined than ever to contribute to the goal of ending the occupation that began in 1967, achieving the establishment of a Palestinian state to coexist in peace and security alongside Israel, and realizing a just, lasting, and comprehensive peace between Israel and all her Arab neighbors. Ladies and gentlemen, without your cooperation, we cannot hope to make headway on these and other common challenges. More than ever, the United Nations needs the support and participation of the Group of 77 and China. I look forward to continuing our constructive and fruitful partnership. Thank you.
I thank the Secretary General and his deputy for these statements and their commitment to the objectives and ideals that all of us in the Group 77 constituency share. I wish also to assure them on your behalf of our support and cooperation. Thank you, Mr. Secretary General. Thank you, Deputy Secretary General.